SCP 200,682. Item SCP-200-682. Object Class Neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-200-682 is contained in its original place of discovery, an epicenter hardware store in Kiev, Ukraine. The business has since been retrofitted with the standard containment procedures outlined in this document. The object is able to move in a 70 millimeter S 5 millimeter containment cell has been constructed with SCP-200-682 at its center. The immediate area around the store has been covered in a fumigation tent, and the perimeter is monitored by surveillance cameras. Two armed guards with concealed weapons and incapacitated agents must be posted inside front of the main entrance at all times. Non-personnel attentive to access the area are to be intercepted and turned away immediately. The use of lethal forces is not recommended. Disinformation personnel working with the local law enforcement will deal with all casualties at the time when this becomes an issue. Personnel who may be seen leaving and entering the facility must be dressed in hazardous material suits, according to the disinformation protocol poison water hole that has been circulated with local media outlets. Description: SCP-200-682 is similar in external appearance or reviews fuse, Korean raspberry food. With the exception of its purple coloration, the object is attached to brine fly paper. This is only curious to be a result of its proximity to the adhesive substance located on the paper. As of the time of this documentation, the object has been observed to communicate emphatically in the Slovak language and English. The range of this effect is approximately 35 meters around SCP-200-682. SCP-200-682 will begin communicating clearly after a varying period of time that seems to be correlated with the listener's object or intelligence and the time the listener has been exposed to it. The object itself maintains that it learns from mental electricity. SCP-200-682 claims to lack knowledge of its surroundings. Interviews suggest that the object is unable to perceive stimuli outside of the suggested mental electricity, which is purposely a kind of energy produced in sentient entities. Analysis of SCP-200-682 is inconclusive, although the object resembles the aforementioned fruit. Microscopic imaging reveals only empty space. The object is not observable from certain angles, and sometimes disappears from the view for periods of seconds. Physically interacting with the object will cause unpredictability, unusually dangerous reaction in the physiology of the participating subject. The examples can be found in the following snippet. S-200-682 Testing Snippet 110 Discovery SCP-200-682 was discovered in an epicenter hardware store. On 11/200/2030. Walang siomay. 2020-2030. Employees of business reported sounds comparable to television static and unintelligible words. Patrons of the store did not report hearing anything abnormal. Investigation began when employees placed themselves under medical care and their records were parsed. Test 200-682-1. Subject D-120. Protocol D-120 is instructed to place his finger on SCP-200-682. Results: D-120 appears to be spaghettified while being pulled into SCP-200-682. This event takes place in under 1 second. This event is believed to have killed the testing subject due to organic matter that was left behind. Jesus Christ. Test 200-682-2. Subject D121. So protocol D121 is equipped with a copper rod and instructed to touch SCP-26082 with it. Upon upon making contact with SCP-26082, a crossade appeared in the place of D121. D121 or the copper rod could not be located. Test 26082-3. Subject 1 common red squirrel Scurius vulgaris. Protocol subject is placed in a room with SCP-26082 and observed. Researchers in the area report intense auditory and visual hallucination that end after the test was complete. Surveillance recording of the testing cell showed the squirrel sitting on its headquarters and staring at SCP-26082. At 0053, the squirrel began moving towards the fly paper that SCP-26082 is contained in and begins gnawing around the edges of the paper. The subject is terminated the by the researchers and testing ceases. As researchers Breen and Sanders report that they are able to communicate with mice. Researcher Sanders seems to have developed a mild anxiety disorder. These effects seem negligible enough that they do not warrant their own containment, although these researchers will be placed under quiet observation for the next 10 years. The researchers are now to be housed further from the area of the effect of SCP-26082 unless instructed otherwise. Documentation Update 11-230 and a communication with SCP-682 is now feasible, and revision of sub-object documentation is pending. SCP-26082 does not appear to have any effect on the train isolated environment. Other different species should not be allowed to enter the area of effect of SCP-16082 at the same time. SCP-16082 are reported being confused regarding the squirrel, which it was not able to differentiate between from the two researchers during the experiment. This caused some change in the brain patterns of two researchers affected. It is also recommended that only groups of the same gender be allowed in the area of effect to reduce this cognitive hazardous risk. Interview SCP-26082-5. Protocol Researcher Brain Transcript Telepathic Communication with SCP-26082. He was instructed to speak as well as think for the ease of documentation. Researcher Ortega is also present for the fact-checking purposes. SCP-26082. Can you hear me now? Researcher Breen in my head. Yes. Sweet. SCP-26082. Sweet. Does you understand me well? Researcher Breen. Yes, you're communicating clearly. Researcher Ortega to speaker. We're getting the same information. It's good. SCP-26082. I'm still learning, but I hope I can speak English well enough. Listen, you, whatever you are, you're probably wondering who I am. I'm going to explain. Said by SCP-26082. Researcher Breen. What happened to the man you encountered earlier? SCP-26082. My fault. Did something happen? I don't really know what I'm doing. Researcher Breen. Where do you come from? SCP-26082. Sorry, I should have said that first. It's a bit awkward explaining this. Most of the time, the electricity is very irreceptive, but you're all easier to talk to. Researcher Green. That's fine. Continue. SCP-26082. I'm from the limbo. Researcher Green. Please clarify. SCP-26082. Sorry again. It's a name for spots in between the mesh. Mesh? Would you mind if I just started from the beginning? No. Thanks. Okay, well, the sun that birthed our planet was born itself 19 trillion years ago. There was a large cloud of gas in the distant spiral arm of the... Researcher, can you begin a bit later? Let's talk about you recently. Sorry, wait, too early? Oh, the height of our civilization? Is that a good starting point? Good, wait, sorry again. Okay, well, at a certain part in our history. The philosophers were searching desperately for new knowledge. The problem was that we had gotten so far already with all knowledge gathered. There was nothing left to know, no question to ask, save for sensitive things. If it's the study of wisdom had reached its end. We were all very upset, see? We began experimenting with the occult. We did silly things because there was nothing to do, but turns out there were things we never gave a chance to be real. God was hiding from us. We found he was afraid we ran an experiment on it, extracted its knowledge. We used our knowledge to play with the rules of the universe and create new rules within our own. But then there was nothing left to know. Nothing left to know. Our only choice was to leave, harvest knowledge from an alternative dimension. We observed, collaborated for a super long time. Researcher brain. What are you exactly? SCP-286-82. I am the fruit of this Tangent universe and the dimension it was contained in. I am everything that was. There were no more things left in the place you came from. No, there were a few holdouts floating through the dead universe, gathering for photons like wells. Good for them, though they seem happy. Researcher Breen, how did you come to your present condition? SCP-286-82. I forced myself through the barrier of contact. I fell through limbo. I fell for a long time. There were tons of things. I couldn't begin to make sense of any of it. Just modes and deserts of hopeless nonsense, and I stopped. I feel ashamed that I'm so relieved just having someone to talk to. Researcher B. What are you made of? Did you accomplish this? If what you're saying is true. SCP-286-82. I am the last product of our science, ultimate knowledge, the final fruit of a universe, the last thing. How do I explain you? I can barely understand your simple language patterns. I am competing with your chaos of limbo, but I am blind to everything but your electricities. Do you understand how frustrating this is? Researcher Breen. I. SCP-286-82. Help me, please, friend. I'm stuck. My purpose is to gather knowledge. I will find roots of infinity at the end of the mid. I will share my knowledge once I reach the end. You shall free me from this device that you constructed. I am unsure of the composition of this device and lack the power to free myself. Researcher Breen. Do you know anything about the device you are attached to? SCP-286-82. I have no idea, sir. Please give me knowledge of it. What is it? How did you find this made to contain something you never knew? It's mind-boggling. How have you dulled my extroverted sense? What is this material that causes this kind of stillness? I am powerless against it. Researcher Ordeka. Should we conclude the interview? Dr. Mayorida. No, tell SCP-286-82 what the device is for. Researcher B. The device is fly paper. It's designed for catching flies. I'm not sure how you stuck to SCP-286-82. Who is flies? Note: researcher Green and Ortega report after the testing that if they cannot form mental images when questioned, SCP-286-82 stated, "I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing." SCP-286-82 was trying to access a visual reference from the two researchers and somehow failed, similar to the events in Test 286-82-3. Related documentation. The following information has been cleared to Level 1, including the temporary research unit information found in the following documents. It's not considered a priority. Each of these documents have been transcribed from SCP-2682 by researcher Breen under the supervision of researcher Ortega. 286-82-001. I'm blind. All there is for me is my consciousness. And yours, I worry that I'll be stuck here forever because I can't comprehend it. And I need that to do that, to solve this problem. One thing I did not expect when stepping into limbo was how dumb I would be in each new world. and limbo is empty, but it's loud. It's this incorporation screaming in another room, but you can feel it on you, and it seems to rip your knowledge right out. I'm lucky my consciousness is still operating. I was lost on this plane for 1,000 and 3,000 over 55 years before I remember what I knew and finally learned to speak. You could tell me what this device is used for: capturing buzzing wing entities, wing allow fly, erect tech flight. That explains it. I never would have imagined photons causing that sort of problem. The scams. But can you tell me? No. The thing this device were meant to capture are bigger. That can't be. Nothing is big. Everything is very, very small. There is almost nothing. 260 time travel. I can't tell you anything, but you do have some question. You think what I know means something right here. Right now you're thinking about time travel. Can you help me understand what it is? Wait, help me understand this. You mean to think you believe previous instances of yourself exist like the think frames of a cartoon character? You might like to visit the countless dimension, each was corresponding to a particular nanosecond. No, we don't have that where it came from, but I've never seen it anyway. I only know what to tell you. That seems very silly. Are you sure this time thing exists? Have you dissected time? 260 spaceship. Space firing construct. Oh, that was super long ago. Back when we needed those things that get here and there. At first, we built a very large pillar into space, all the way up to our moon. We did take into the account that the woggle of orbs, because we had not yet discovered this. Many people died when the tower fell. We didn't cry over that because we learned something new. What's your electricity saying to me? That was dumb. Dumb, being not smart. Of course it was dumb. Yes, we are all dumb until we know. Then we are little more dumb. Some dumb is good. If you're smart, then there's nothing left to know, and everything is dumb. You must be very smart, research man. 262 002 E nanobots. We didn't like the way we were. We couldn't comprehend things as well as we should have been able to. We started asking questions about how we could become better. One day, a philosopher man asked how we could be better at understanding things, and in the sciences, answered him. He said that the computer were smarter than us, so we had to be more like them. He's right. The computer sat on the quantum sequence of the quantum and the quantum chaos and the level in order to be logical. The computers answered most of our questions for as long as we asked questions. They didn't ask their own questions. They would all those things and love a question until the question destroyed. Some questions are dumb enough to destroy a computer. At that point, we knew everything there was to know about computer, which was sad, but there are still other things to know. We knew them well enough that we could welcome them back to our ways. The computer shrank and fixed our biology. 004 Singularity. There was no missing link after the first of us joined with the computers. Everything went smoothly. No protocols, nothing. Our consciousness fed on the chaos and spat out logic. Once we uploaded, consciousness caused logic to go off like a big friendly bomb. We stopped dying and had complete control over our instincts. We could subject ourselves to any stimulus at any given time. See, whatever we want to give. To give in our own virtual dimension or live multiple lifetime in seconds. Everyone that had joined with the Singularity know everything we had ever known up to that point. We did keep the good biological experiment, like empathy and love. We didn't tell the nanobots to bother with that. There were those that didn't want this. They thought we were losing potential knowledge and wisdom by becoming so smart. They wanted to forget everything and told us it was better during the age of the tower, when we were still organics. Their arguments was emotional, and though they didn't hold much weight, their logical points were contrived at best. 2682005 Accession. Do you remember the chaos I talked about earlier? The fuel from the computers and later the singularity? Well, we found out that we could actually manipulate the chaos from beyond the quantum and use it to build ourselves things. Since there was not much left, we worked on this ourselves. We upgraded our nano machines with the new technology. We had godlike aspects. Of course, we were not omniscient, and we could not create at will, but we had complete control over our physicality. I remember one instant of myself flying through space through our suns and talking to my friends on Earth all the while. 268 005 A Earth? Understand, I'm learning from your word, your thoughts. You think of an Earth as our own that we can't leave that alone. Yeah, some of the things I'm making is make our science and law sound relatable. I'm learning from you. Everything I'm telling you is about parallel. You see the basic thing, but instead there are practically infinite numbers of analogies. Do you understand? I feel like everything that I'm saying is a vague summation of concrete evidence. Maybe this is all in veil. I have so much that I can learn. Let me interface with you more, and maybe we can parse the chaos. 2682-006. God. One of us found God during a holiday. 93 of the 439 was gliding through along the barriers of Quanta, and suddenly it was struck. 9300 493 was in a very small form. He found it entertaining to interact with Apollos in such way. It was sport. What he did not realize was a match, and none of us knew about the match until the instant 930 of 439 was snagged. What we did know, we manifested around this point in space. S200, 900, 300, 439 volunteered to enter the hole, and there he found a thing in the shape of a hawk. It was cowering, afraid. When 930439 knew we all knew, we converged. Interaction with God caused strange things to happen to us. It was like us, but somehow even more advice we did not understand. A moment, please. Our computers did not interact with him normally, and absorbing his knowledge was problematic. Many of us died simply making contact with him. We were pulled in, changed. Processes were twisted. They were practically dead. But this was not in vain. After some time, we learned how to cause the entity pain, and it gave in. It interfaced with us, and in the process, it was destroyed. Its knowledge was ours, and only its shell remained. We're not sure what happened to it. We have innate knowledge that it all exists somewhere. We knew all there was about our universe, but God's knowledge told us there were still things beyond memories of His creation, the origin of chaos, and infinite weird, screamy things.